Welcome, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back. Thank you for being here after a long hiatus. I don't know, was it 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks? I'm not sure exactly how long, but we've been on break for a little while, especially since we were also on a break while we were on a break when we were in India, and then Achyuta and I were continuing while Kishore continued to be in India, and then Kishore got back, and then we took several weeks off completely. And those of you who are in our live Zoom room right now, we have a WhatsApp chat where we give updates to people who tune in live if our live schedule ever needs to change. So they knew what was going on. But if you're not on a WhatsApp chat and you don't tune in live, you didn't know what was going on with Spirit Matters. And we were getting emails from you guys. Thank you for the outpouring of love. I've received somehow just serendipitously, is that a word that you use? What does serendipitously mean? Any of our scholars here, Google scholars? I want to know if this is like coincidentally in a beautiful way. Serendipitously. I got to look it up. Yeah, fortunately, lucky, by chance. Yeah, maybe not serendipitously, but very, very beautifully. Somehow in the same vein, I was the last week or two getting so many messages from different places, whether it was a personal Instagram message, whether it was a email, sometimes people just send a personal email to me. I don't even know how they got their email address, or I would sometimes text somebody. I was going to visit a friend in DC in a couple of weeks, and they're like, "Hey, we listened to Spirit Matters. Thank you so much for what you're doing." And I was like, "I didn't even know you listened." And so really over the last weeks came alive to me how many of you are out there and how many of you are listening and how many of you are participating in this global conversation. And so thank you all so much. We've been on break a couple weeks, and it's just a time, it's kind of like a new year, and the new year for me and a lot of us here at the Bhakti Center kind of starts in February, because a lot of us take some trips to India, or we've got New Year stuff, and it's not until around early mid-February that we really kind of start processing the year ahead and behind. And so we took that time for us to do that with Spirit Matters. Spirit Matters launched the first week of January 2022. And we've been doing it every day, pretty much, with little breaks in there, Monday through Friday. Achyuta, Kishore, and I. And after 14 months, we just wanted to take a break and kind of just assess where everyone was at, how we're feeling, how we're doing, the commitment to show up every day, which is a lot for all of you, and for us as well. And in that time period, both Kishore and Achyuta did some assessment and some soul searching, and realized that at this time in their life, they felt it best for them to step out of the podcast and just kind of let that daily practice in this particular vein go, allow the podcast to continue. We're still continuing on with the podcast. It'll just be a slightly different format. But I just wanted to take a moment and just share tremendous outpouring of love for the two of them, for the insight that they've shared, the vulnerability that they brought to the table every day. They are tremendous, deeply absorbed, have lots of realizations about life. And I think one of the greatest contributions they made in terms of just their wisdom was also just their lived experiences, from the intersectionality of their backgrounds, and how they've fought so intensely throughout life to bring their best selves to the table through various forms of challenge in spiritual life, and that the world can bring at people. And I think we were all deeply touched by the wisdom, by the honesty, by the vulnerability, by the personalism, by the authenticity, and by the depth of what they brought to the table. And it was a beautiful gift for me to be able to spend that time with them every day. I feel like I got to know them a lot more than I ever had before through those conversations. I'm looking forward to our friendship continuing with them. Tomorrow is the Kadashi here in New York, which means it's the 11th day of the waxing or waning moon. It happens twice a month. And Achyuta Gopi gives our morning Bhagavatam class every Ekadashi here at the Bhakti Center. So if you go to I don't know where, actually, you got to get on the temple newsletter. But if you get on the Bhakti Center's Temple newsletter, you can get updates about our Bhagavatam class, and you can tune in live at 7:15 a.m. Eastern time, or it's recorded on YouTube. So you can catch classes with the Chuta Gopi twice a month. Her and her family come for kirtan on Thursdays if you want to have kirtan with us. And Kishore is still here in New York, teaching yoga classes and other trainings and retreats. He's got yoga teacher trainings. Achyuta and Kishore leading India pilgrimage in the fall. We hope you guys can go along for that. And lots of beautiful things still doing together. But they won't be continuing this journey on our podcast. Instead, you got me. This is what you got. I ain't much, but I'm all you got. No, but to sort of compensate for that a little bit, we're going to add various guests. It's kind of going to shift a little bit to more of a community podcast. I mean, it's always been a community podcast, but instead of having the same co-host every day, I will be inviting different guests each week onto our show for you to meet the amazing people in our community, both our local community here in New York, as well as our extended community around the world. Next week, I'm so excited to share with you and to have a conversation with a dear friend of mine. She used to be the graphic designer at the Bhakti Center. She lived in our ashram at the Bhakti Center. She was part of our team. We worked very closely together. And her name is Rukmini Chandrika Rukmini Podar. And we're going to be talking about, she's an artist and a creative Indian American girl, and entrepreneurship and creativity, specifically as a female in spiritual life. Oh, Leela Mundry just put in, Achyuta has a live every morning on YouTube, Zoom for Patreon members. Yeah, so Achyuta Gopi has a Patreon. I don't even know how you find or access that, but Achyuta Gopi has a Patreon account if you want to continue just being connected. She has a Instagram account. What is it? What's Achyuta Gopi's Instagram account? Instagram Achyuta Gopi. I want to make sure I get the exact handle right. Govinda Girl _ Achyuta Gopi. You go to Achyuta Gopi's Instagram account. She does a lot of reels and sharings of wisdom. Many of you are already following her on Instagram. You and 139,000 other people following Achyuta Gopi on Instagram. And so if you want to just follow more wisdom with Achyuta and stay in touch with her, please go follow her Instagram account. And you can stay connected with her reels and Instagram lives. And she also has a book that she wrote that you can check on Amazon and Patreon, although I'm not sure how to get. I'm sure if you went to patreon.com or whatever it is and search Achyuta Gopi, or just Google search Achyuta Gopi Patreon, you can find her Patreon account and you can connect. And every Monday, it looks like Leela Mundry is a part of that. So you can stay in touch with Achyuta there. Kishore also has an Instagram account, although I don't know how active he is on it. Like, I don't think he posts reels and stuff the same way that Achyuta does, but Kishore Chandra Yoga, you can follow him on Instagram and just updates on his life and where he's at and things he's teaching and doing. He's not as active as Achyuta. And I don't think he has a Patreon, but he teaches at the Bhakti Center regularly, yoga classes, etc. So there's ways to stay in touch, and please do stay in touch. But next week we'll have the wonderful Rukmini Chandrika on Instagram, known as Rakan Ruksi. And we'll talk a little bit about her story, her realizations being a creative and entrepreneur as a woman in spirituality, and what it's like for that journey and experience. Oh, here she comes. She's coming into the Zoom room. Rukmini, love you. Just announced you to our group. And so thank you. Thank you all so much. And what I wanted to share with you today, to give you a little something, I was just thinking about in the vein of spiritual life, in the vein of coming together to share spirit matters, in the vein of coming together and sharing our lives with each other. There's a beautiful verse from the Gita. We've often been reading the Bhagavad Gita very often in our show. We were in the middle of the 3rd chapter, and I'm going to jump ahead to the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. The 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. It's verse 9 of the Bhagavad Gita in the 10th chapter. And there's these beautiful verses where Krishna is describing to Arjuna These particular 4 verses, verses 8, 9, 10, and 11, are referred to as the Chatur Shloki, almost like the 4 nutshell verses, like the Gita in a nutshell, like the 4 core verses, if you were kind of sum everything up. Everything from Krishna being the source of all that exists, the spiritual source of everything, the definition of higher power, and that when we realize the true nature of that divine loving higher power, we develop a relationship of love and devotion. When we get past fear and adoration, we move towards love. And that divine higher power is inviting us into a relationship of love. And in verse 9, he describes kind of what that love looks like. And he mentions the verse, chapter 10, verse 9. He says, "The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me." So the thoughts of my pure devotees, those bhaktas, those steeped in devotion, those attracted to me in love, their thoughts are always dwelling in me. And so we develop this. We have this phrase of Krishna consciousness, which is this idea of being conscious of higher power, being conscious of God's presence in our life, and making that a meditation. There are so many rules and regulations and things to do in life, of what time to get up and what to chant and prayers to say and pujas and yagyas and lifestyle hacks and things you should and shouldn't do. And there's all these kind of like these like spiritual boot camps of how to get your life in order. And those are all great, but the purpose of all of it is to mold our mind towards always thinking of transcendence. It's meant to create samskars. Like you when you go to a temple and there's an arti ceremony, the idea of the ritual of the arti ceremony, even the idea of like deity worship itself, the idea of having an altar where there's a worshipable deity to perform services toward, whether it's offering food or offering ceremonies of incense and flowers and chamara fans. It's a whole meditation of like absorbing my mind in a particular way and creating a deep impressionable samskar. We even have this word of Vedic samskars, where at various major transitions of life, whether it's at birth or pregnancy or various stages along a pregnancy, or the name giving ceremony, or the first time a child eats grains and moves from like mushy blended vegetables to eating grains and more whole foods, not from Whole Foods, but literally whole foods. And or when there's a marriage, or when there's various stages in life, they make a big whoop-de-doo about it. And the idea is that it's a samskar, that it creates this deep impression in the mind that this is something important. This is something important. And so there's a big celebration, there's a big yagya, there's a big offering that takes place, because when we make those deep impressions in the mind, they carry with us throughout the day and throughout our lives. And so we want to create deep impressions in our lives that carry with us, that allow me to remember. And we all have deep samskars in our life. We sometimes just call them memories. The things that pop up into our consciousness. Ever have anything just pop up into your consciousness out of nowhere? Or you're watching something and you're reminded of something else that took place, or a food sparks a memory of when you ate it when you were a little kid. There are deep samskars in our impression. And oftentimes those samskars come in unconsciously. We're just kind of having things impressed into our consciousness without our intention. And so a lot of spiritual life is taking the initiative to be intentional about the things I want to press into my consciousness. I have a memory foam pillow existing in my head and in my chest and my heart. And I want to shape that the way I want to. I don't want it to just be shaped by life. And we even use language like that. It got a lot of bruises, a lot of dings on the heart, our friends at Wisdom of the Sages use the phrase dented cans. And so the idea that like life beats us up sometimes and it creates these impressions. What if I had the power to start creating new impressions? so that, like Krishna is saying in the Bhagavad Gita, my thoughts can always go to him. My thought going to Krishna isn't just a decision I make right now for now. It's a decision I make right now for later. Where I want my consciousness to be in the future is what I invest in today and now. And so much of spiritual life, it's not about like filling out your spiritual report card. Did you chant your rounds today? Did you do this today? Did you do that today? Oh, you failed, go back. It's not like we're being judged on that level. I'm trying to create deep samskars. And so even if it's not a lot, even if it's not looking super pretty and beautiful on the outside, I still make my best effort to show up however little I can, because I want to keep shaping that memory foam pillow in the heart, shaping it so that I can learn to, my mind can always go to it. Like the beautiful verse that gets quoted often of Queen Kunti in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And Queen Kunti in the first canto, chapter 8, Queen Kunti makes this beautiful, beautiful prayer. Johnny V. Harrison named her first album after this, Like a River. Queen Kunti prays, "O Lord of Madhu," she's speaking to Krishna, "as the Ganges river flows to the sea without hindrance, let my attraction be constantly drawn into you without being diverted to anyone else." So the Ganges river is flowing down from the mountains, from Gomukh, where it originates, high in the Himalayan mountains. And it's flowing down the mountainside, up and over and around boulders and mountainsides and blockages, and it just, whatever comes in its way, goes over, under, around, or through the hindrances, and it makes its way towards the Bay of Bengal, towards the ocean. And it's saying, similarly, let my attraction, let my meditation, let my mind be absorbed and find its way to the sea of my deepest aspirations in your loving devotional service. So every day I'm just kind of digging a trench in that river. I'm digging the river so that my consciousness can flow, also like a groove, like a groove of a record. There's a groove of a record, and based on the shape and the makeup of that groove, you place it on a record player and a certain song comes out. And so I want to groove my heart in a particular way that when the output is infused with spirit, I want to dig the trench of the river of my life so that it flows in the direction towards transcendence. And so Krishna says, the thoughts of my devotees dwell in me. That doesn't happen overnight. We dig those grooves. We show up every day here at Spirit Matters. We talk about spiritual subjects and we do it in a prayerful way. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me, Krishna says. Their lives are fully devoted to my service. Their lives are fully devoted to service. And this is the point I wanted to get to, they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. So I almost kind of feel like this is like the thesis statement of Spirit Matters. The idea of coming together to try to enlighten each other about spiritual realization. And we may not be in the place of like, my thoughts are always in Krishna, my life is fully devoted to Krishna service, and I'm just going to come together and share the beauty of my spiritual life. It may not be that way. It may be, I want to get there. And that's the beautiful thing about bhakti. The beautiful thing about bhakti is that you perform the activities of bhakti in order to develop the feelings of bhakti. So when I'm infused with bhakti on the deepest level, and I'm fully immersed in Krishna consciousness, the same activities are the activities that I do when I'm not immersed in consciousness, but I want to be. I perform the activities of love in order to invoke the feelings of love. And so the actions remain the same. The means and the goal are the same in bhakti. It's just simply that I undergo inner transformation along the way. And I start to appreciate, and I start to relish, and I start to reconfigure my relationship with them internally. My inner world transforms. Set your outer world up in a way, in the exact same way you want it to look like in perfection, and allow your inner world to transform along the way of getting there. So we come together and we enlighten and converse about our spiritual life with the hope and the prayer and the dedication and the intention that we will shape the memory foam pillow of our heart. We will dig the grooves on the riverbanks of our life. We will shape the groove on the record player of our soul, that it sings the song of higher love. It sings the song of higher love, that it flows towards the sea of our heart's deepest aspirations, that we start to remind each other and help each other and enlighten one another through our lived experience and encourage one another. You are being encouraged. You're listening right now. You're on your way to work. You're putting your kids to bed. You are taking a jog in the park. You're walking your dog. Whatever you're doing right now, this is Krishna reaching out, encouraging you through me and through everyone else listening. It's not me. I'm not saying anything of importance here. I don't even know what I'm saying. But Krishna can speak through any of us. Krishna can speak through any of us. There's a beautiful verse that I recite every time before I give class at the Bhakti Center. What is it? Mukam karoti vachalam. Let me look it up. Vachalam database. Yeah, beautiful. Mukam karoti vachalam pungam lankayate girim yat kripa tamaham vande Paramananda Madhavam. I also say is also saying Shri Guru Dinatarinam. By the mercy of Guru or by the mercy of the Supreme Absolute Truth. Mukam karoti vachalam. One who cannot speak can become an eloquent speaker. Pangam langayate girim. One who is not able to walk can cross mountains. Yat kripa tamaham vande. Simply by the mercy of Paramananda, that all transcendental, blissful Madhava, all of it can be done. All of it can be done. So I'm not here because I'm some beautiful, eloquent speaker or I'm anything amazing. I'm here because Krishna can speak through any of us. And because this is our effort. This is me doing my part to show up. This is all of you doing your part to show up in whatever way we can, whether it's at this podcast, whether it's on our Instagram page, whether it's in our service. We all show up in different ways. We all show up in different beautiful ways, and we should recognize that with each other. Take the time to recognize the way that other people are showing up in their lives, because we're all doing the best that we can, and it's a hard road. It's not easy, but Krishna's working through all of us. Krishna's working through all of us. So Krishna's working through this podcast right now, reaching you wherever you're at, letting you know you made a contribution today in this little groove of your life. The river is flowing towards Krishna's grace. So this verse, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, verse 9, the thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. There's a beautiful purport to this verse, which maybe we'll look at and we'll talk about tomorrow. But we're kind of at the time we have here. Normally we got Kimberly would give us our takeaways, but she's not here today. So if anybody's got takeaways and you want to put them in the chat, please put some chat takeaways, what you guys are walking away with, and I'll read them out loud or share with them. Kimberly is not able to be with us this week or next week. She'll be back Monday the 13th. She is our Wrap It Up Acharya who normally gives us takeaways. But if anybody has some takeaways that they want to just share, Stephanie quoted, sing the song of higher love. Thank you. Martha just said, yes, yes, yes. Hallelujah. Sydney wrote, change is hard, but is a must for growth. That is very, very true. And change doesn't have to come all at once. We do it gradually in our own way. It's like watching grass grow or a hair grow. If you were just staring at it every day, like nothing's happening, but you come back in a month and it's just like, whoa, what happened? So it's happening. It is happening. Everything is possible in Krishna's world. That's true, Martha. Leslie Venti, thanks for joining us, Leslie. The means and goal are the same in bhakti. Yes, they are. The means and the goal are the same in bhakti and in love. Do you want to feel love towards someone? Act lovingly towards them. Want to feel loving towards someone? act lovingly towards them. And it's possible because the nature of the soul is to love. We are composed of it. And we just have to reconnect ourselves back to the source of love. So my takeaway for me is and I've been thinking about this concept a lot, is just the difference between pausing to sit back in deeper wisdom rather than react to the stories and triggers that pop up in front of me. It's so easy to just react, like my dog just reacts. Sees another dog on the street, starts barking. Sees a cat, starts chasing. Hears a sound in the hallway, starts barking. And I'm like, don't do that. And it's like, but how? He's not even choosing to. He's just reacting. And his adrenaline system is kicking into gear. And it's just like, and all of a sudden, like, you're all riled up. And it's like, and I tell him, like, don't bark or this or that. But I'm like, he needs to bark. He needs to get that out of his system. And so you go for it, little Jiva. Do what you got to do. You're under the control of the modes of material nature. I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be something just happens and I start barking. I start chasing. I get all riled. I create a story in my head. Can I set back into deeper wisdom? And what that deeper wisdom means is connect back to the source of love. I want to just respond to this with love. And I want to shower love on that person. And I want to let that person know that I love them. Even if they don't accept my love, even if they don't feel loved, even if they hate me for it. Can I not react to that? And can I just stay connected to the source of love and rest in my own deeper wisdom and be like, okay, if you need space from me, or if you need a boundary, or maybe we don't even see each other or talk to each other again, I don't need to react with anything other than love in my heart, because I know that as Achita would say so often, our supreme best friend loves every living being deeply. And so I want to align with that. So where am I connecting myself with the source of love? And so that's a meditation for me, especially as I find myself at a time in life right now where so many little things are coming up for me in my interpersonal relationships, whether it's with people I know deeply or even just like people that I don't know deeply, that I'm just having a conversation with about something, one off or whatever, and just paying attention and noticing to the things that come up for me. How easy it is for me to react and get triggered and enter into argument mode or feel threatened or respond in a way. And I just feel like, wow, Krishna's really unearthing a lot of things for me right now. Krishna's really unearthing a lot of things for me right now. And he's calling me closer. He's calling me closer. It's like, your conditioning is not what you want to be leaning on right now. Lean into me and allow me to just kind of wash away all that dirt in the heart. And so anyways, I'm about to launch into a whole nother podcast episode. And so we're at about time. Leela Manjari, I'm taking away the challenge to celebrating what I'm doing and to increase from there. Yes, beautiful. Leela Manjari, we actually need to connect. So let's use our japa to get that out of our system. Love you guys so much. Thank you so much for being here. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow, Friday. I will be one more solo. And then next week, we take a break for the weekends. And next week on Monday, we got our beautiful friend, Rukmini Podar, is going to join us for a week of conversation. Please tune in. Look forward to that. Hare Krishna. Thank you all so much. Be well and be loved. And Hare Krishna.